Scandinavian Bob here, hi. We've talked a lot about triggers, discipline and the dopamine cycle, but there's one thing that doesn't get enough attention on the NoFap journey, and that's stress. Stress can be like pouring gasoline on a fire when it comes to trying to quit an addiction. And I'm being serious here, guys. Some addiction experts even go as far as to say dopamine plus stress equals addiction. Now, that might sound a bit extreme, but there's a strong point behind it. There are two key things I want you to take away from this video. Number one, if you're carrying a lot of stress, it makes breaking an addiction much harder. Number two, if you take stress management seriously, you are going to have less bumps in your road. Here's the deal. When you're feeling stressed, your brain is searching for a quick fix, something to soothe the discomfort. And that's where a lot of guys fall into the trap of going for shallow dopamine stuff. I'm talking about endless scrolling on social media, chasing likes, notifications, junk food, binges, alcohol, cigarettes, gambling, video games, and of course, adult sites. Now, let's get one thing clear here. Dopamine isn't the enemy. In fact, we need dopamine to feel motivated, to enjoy life, and to get stuff done. Remember, you also get hits of dopamine from things like working towards your goals, hitting the gym, listening to music, or even something as simple as drinking water. That's all good stuff, of course. But when you start reaching for the shallow, cheap dopamine hits during times of stress, that's when you can create and reinforce a problem. You see, your brain starts to link those quick fix activities with stress relief. And guess what? Over time, your brain gets tricked into thinking that you need that junk dopamine in order to get rid of that stress. When this happens, you might not even be aware of it because it happens automatically. And the risk here isn't just that you might relapse, although that is of course a risk, but it's also that you could end up swapping one addiction for another. I've seen it happen, brother. Guys who quit porn but then instead find themselves really hooked on video games or binging junk food whenever life gets tough. However, to avoid being too negative here, I also have to say, if you happen to trade one addiction for another, as long as it's temporary and as long as you are leaving a more destructive addiction behind you, you're still making progress. And so, I'm not here to tell you to cut out every last bit of fun. No, I get this. It's not about banning every dopamine spiking activity from your life. The key is how and when you use them. If you're sometimes using some of the less destructive ones as a way to unwind after a good day, well, not much harm there. But if you're using them to escape stress, loneliness, or anxiety, or any kind of negative emotion, that's where you need to be careful. And we are all a bit different here, so you have to find out what works for you and your NoFap journey. For some guys, it'll be enough to just keep those low-value activities in moderation and avoid them during stressful times. But for others, especially if you struggle with self-control and you have a dopamine bear inside of you that starts going on a rampage after pretty much any cheap dopamine activity, well, then you might have to cut them out altogether, at least in the beginning part of your NoFap rebooting journey. Yeah, so this is all about figuring out how your brain works and how it responds to your different circumstances. But the point is, if you start taking stress management seriously, you will see a huge difference. And I'm talking about real, sustainable stress reduction here. Like taking a walk in the nature, doing some meditation, taking a cold shower, deep breathing and awareness, whatever helps you unwind in a healthy way. By seriously working on your stress levels, you will quickly start to notice how your NoFap streaks start becoming longer and longer. Alright, that's it for today, and if you feel you want to get in touch with me to work on a deeper level one-on-one, you can always find a link to my coaching page under the video. And okay guys, click on the video you see right here if you want to hear a story about a medical student who tried NoFap.